early in 2025, we received these two interesting books, and they come from, they were found in a shed in Liscannor, where the Harbour Constable of Liscannor, Daniel Considine, lived. He died many years ago, but in the early part of the 20th century, he was the Harbour Constable in Liscannor, and using these books, he recorded the comings and goings of coasters and Arran or Galway hookers, various schooners and other sailing vessels, small vessels that came into the harbour in Liscannor, usually delivering coal, and often going away with flagstone. And these particular registers date to, the first entry is this one here that we have, and it dates to July of 1912. And the last entry in this second book is in the mid-1950s. This particular boat here is the SS Portgain, and this was travelling and left Liscannor with a cargo of flagstone, and that was kind of typical of the cargoes that they left with, and they usually arrived with coal. There were a total of 22 vessels recorded in this particular book. The last entry in it is just before the Second World War. When you carry out an investigation of the boats that were in it, some of them left their mark in history, even if it's only in a small way. One of the boats registered here was on its way to Scotland when it disappeared somewhere around Tory Island, and it sank and lost its cargo of moher flag. And a number of other boats were subsequently torpedoed during the First World War, which began in 1914, just 2 years after this particular book was started. In the second book, we have a record of the MV Curlogue, which was a coaster that was registered in Wexford, and it appeared in Liscannor a couple of times after the Second World War, but it had made its name during what we call the emergency in Ireland, because it, even though it was only designed to travel short distances around the ports and harbours of Britain and Ireland, because of a shortage of shipping, it was on the Dublin to Lisbon route, bringing in vital supplies to Ireland during the Second World War. And at one point, when it was crossing the Bay of Biscay with a cargo of coal, it was attacked by a Polish squadron of the RAF, and it was almost sunk, but for the fact that the coal in the cargo that it was carrying actually absorbed all the bullets that were fired at it. It later on another trip across the Bay of Biscay, picked up hundreds of German sailors who had whose ship had been sunk by the RAF, and they were brought to Ireland and interned in the Curragh. And it was at the centre of a diplomatic incident, because even though Ireland was neutral, the British wanted the boat to dock in Ireland so that they could take these sailors as prisoners of war. So it was a fascinating boat, and it's interesting to see it, coming to Clare, coming to Liscannor with coal in the post-war period, going about its normal duties after such an exciting time during the Second World War. So it's a great piece of social history captured here. It tells us a little bit about the trade that went on in Liscannor, and we're very lucky to have them. This is the kind of thing that often gets thrown out. In fact, these were almost thrown out when they were discovered in the shed of the home of Daniel Considine, but someone had the wisdom to say, no, let's hold on to these. They might be of historic interest. So there's a lot more stories associated with ships that are in there, and might be of interest to maritime historians. So we're lucky to have them.